Think of the person you were at 15. Now tell me one thing you two actually share. Not memories, those have been rewritten. Not your body, that's been replaced. Not your beliefs, you know how those have changed. The honest answer is almost nothing. Which raises a question nobody really wants to sit with. If almost nothing carried over, did you survive growing up? Or did you just get replaced by someone who inherited your name? Here's what the biology actually says. Your body is not a fixed thing. It never was. It's a process, a continuous replacement project running in the background every second of your life, swapping out old parts for new ones so quietly you never feel it happening. Your skin replaces itself every 2 to 4 weeks. Your red blood cells last about 4 months before they're retired and rebuilt. The lining of your stomach, the cells that touch every meal you eat, gone and remade every 5 days. Your liver, which you probably think of as a permanent organ sitting solidly in your body, replaces most of its cells every 150 to 500 days. Even your bones, which feel about as permanent as anything inside you can feel, are being continuously broken down and rebuilt. The skeleton you're carrying right now is roughly 10 years old. Not one piece of it is original. And your muscles, your heart tissue, your fat cells, all of it on a timer, all of it cycling through. The number scientists land on is this. Over a period of 7 to 10 years, approximately 98% of the atoms in your body are replaced. 98%. So the person sitting here right now shares almost no physical material with the person who started reading this sentence. And yet, somehow, you are certain you are the same person you have always been. You remember your childhood. You recognize your face. You carry the same name you were given before you could speak. The continuity feels unbreakable. But the biology says something different. It says you are less like a thing and more like a flame. You look at a candle burning and you call it the same flame, but the flame from an hour ago is gone. What you're looking at is new fire, burning in the same place, fed by the same wick. You are not the original. You are the latest version. But here's where the comfortable answer starts to fall apart. Because the cell replacement theory, clean and biological as it sounds, doesn't actually settle the question. It just moves it somewhere harder. Think about this. A river is never made of the same water twice. The water from this morning is downstream by now, replaced by water from somewhere further up. And yet you look at a river and you don't say it disappeared overnight. You call it the same river. Why? Because what makes it a river isn't the water. It's the pattern, the banks that hold it, the direction it flows, the shape it carves into the ground. The pattern persists even when the material doesn't. So maybe you work the same way. Maybe what makes you isn't the atoms, it's the pattern they're arranged in. Your memories, your habits, the particular way you laugh, the things you can't stop caring about even when you try. That's the theory. And it's reassuring right up until you look at how unstable the pattern actually is. In 2019, researchers at Northwestern University published findings that should have made headlines everywhere. They studied the long-term stability of human personality and found that between the ages of 16 and 66, personality changes so dramatically across most people that the person you are at 66 shares almost no measurable personality traits with the person you were at 16. Not a little different, not somewhat changed. Statistically, a different person. The traits that feel most like you, how curious you are, how anxious, how warm or cold, how open to new experience, all of it drifts, reshapes, and in many cases reverses entirely across a lifetime. And memory, the thing you'd point to as the clearest proof of continuity, is no more stable than the rest of it. Every time you remember something, you are not playing back a recording. You are reconstructing it. Your brain pulls fragments from storage, fills in the gaps with what seems likely, reshapes the whole thing around who you are right now, and saves the updated version back over the original. The memory you trust most has been edited every single time you visited it. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus spent decades demonstrating this. She could implant entirely false memories into research subjects through suggestion alone. Detailed, emotional, vivid memories of events that never happened. And the subjects were certain. completely certain. They weren't lying. They genuinely remembered things that didn't exist. So the pattern that was supposed to hold you together across all that cellular replacement, it's being quietly rewritten too. Different atoms, different personality, different memories. At what point exactly did you stop being you and become someone else who thinks they're you? Here's where philosophers have been sitting with this problem for a long time, and they haven't found a clean way out of it either. John Locke argued in the 1600s that personal identity is memory. You are the sum of what you can remember, which sounds right until you realize that your memories are reconstructions, and that you share almost none of them with your 5-year-old self. Anyway, you don't remember learning to walk. You don't remember the first face you ever loved. The earliest years of whoever you were are gone completely. Locke's answer actually implies there have already been several yous. A you that existed before memory formed. A you that emerged when it did. A you that took shape in adolescence. A you that began again after every major loss or transformation. Not one continuous self. A sequence of selves, each inheriting the body and the name of the last one. Each convinced they are the original. Derek Parfit, one of the most important philosophers of the 20th century, spent most of his career arguing that personal identity is not what we think it is. He believed the self is not a deep further fact about a person. It's just a useful story we tell about continuity, a narrative the brain constructs to make sense of all these changes. And when he finally convinced himself that this was true, he said something that stayed with him for the rest of his life. He said it was liberating. Because if the self is a story rather than a fixed thing, then loss of self is not the terrifying erasure it appears to be. Change is not a threat to you. It is you. Every version of you that has lived in this body was real while it was here. And every version that comes next will be real too. The 15-year-old who would not recognize you now was not betrayed when they grew into you. They became you. And you will become whoever comes after. This is the part nobody tells you about growing up. You didn't just change. You ended. And something new began. It happened slowly enough that neither of you noticed. But it happened. And it is still happening right now. As you read this, your cells are being replaced. Memories you revisited recently have already been subtly rewritten. Beliefs you hold with complete confidence today are quietly scheduling their own departure. The self you are most certain of, the one that feels most permanent, most central, most irreducibly you, is the most temporary thing about you. The philosopher Alan Watts put it simply. He said the self is not a noun, it's a verb, not something you have, something you are doing, continuously, right now, which means the question was never whether you are the same person you were. You're not. None of us are. The question is what you're becoming, because the replacement isn't random. It's shaped by everything you pay attention to, every idea you let in, every person you stay close to, every morning you choose to be curious instead of closed. You are not a fixed point in time trying to survive change. You are the change. And the version of you reading this right now, this particular arrangement of replaced atoms, reconstructed memories, and quietly shifting beliefs, has never existed before. It will never exist again. It showed up for this exact moment, and nothing else. That's not a reason to grieve the versions of you that didn't make it here. It's a reason to pay attention to this one while it's still running. Because somewhere in the next decade, without any ceremony and without any warning, this version will be gone too. Replaced by someone who remembers being you, someone who carries your name and your face and most of your stories. Make sure you leave them something worth inheriting.